Somewhere in the watch admiring and watch appreciating journey, the time has transitioned in a manner that was so quick that the watches that always used to be tool watches are now considered as jewelry. And while they are made to function in the most challenging conditions, they are only worn at the dinner or the ceremony. The watches that used to be an instrument for function have become an object of pleasure and prestige. The interesting thing is that there's no right or wrong way of using or wearing the watch. If you enjoy and appreciate the history, the skill, the story behind your watch, you cherish and look after it, there's actually nothing wrong with either use. Rather, I personally think that these watches are meant to be admired, looked after and cherished. For you, it may just be a timepiece, but for its manufacturer, it's their work of art and the pride, with centuries of experience, craftsmanship and continuous improvement. If anything, a watch is made to be worn, enjoyed, appreciated and admired, and not to just sit in the safe to collect dust and value. Rolex Daytona needs no introduction and description, but if you are looking into the history of the Daytona to see where it all started from, I covered its history in my Panda dial review as per the link above on the top right corner of your screen. Or if you may also be interested in the black dial review, I have also covered that review, and the link to my review is again on the top right corner of your screen. When steel is becoming the new gold and almost reaching the levels of desirability and the value, where it's actually going in the market for close to 3 times its retail price, you can safely say that steel is the new gold. That is, while the construction is of the metal of stainless steel, which is typically used in the kitchen and workshop tools, but the desirability of this metal in the watch world for some pieces is so high that it's attracting the premiums as if it was made of gold. But when we enter into this price point, the factors of luxury, prestige, pleasure and exclusivity are almost bound to become a consideration. And this is exactly where it's worth looking at what else is out there at the price point we pay for steel watches from basically the same brand. And when you put it into this perspective, the Daytona in precious metal of gold does seem to make sense and become a watch that you would almost be naturally inclining to, when what you get is essentially all the finesse and fine watchmaking from Rolex, but in the flesh of gold. Rolex Daytona in Oysterflex and yellow gold does indeed offer some very interesting attributes and arguably may possibly a more interesting watch than the steel reference. Notice I said more interesting and not more versatile. For example, we have an Oysterflex strap which indeed makes the fit look and feel more comfortable, but the watch head itself is heavy, being made of gold. We have an interesting looks with black dial hands and hour markers, which are very unique to this particular configuration and model. And if you see the Panda dial too, the hour markers are white gold without any black coating on top. So the piano-like looks on top of golden dial in this case, offering similar Panda-like configuration in this case, is indeed a very cool and unique look for a Daytona. In the full gold Daytona models, the bezel is also made of gold, but that's not the case here, and we have a ceramic bezel, which makes sure that while you get all the pleasure, prestige and joys of gold, they all don't come at the cost of durability. And if you do accidentally hit or bang the bezel, you can rest assured that you can't scratch it. But being ceramic does indeed mean that if you drop your watch from height, this bezel may shatter like glass. If you watched my earlier videos on the Daytona, I stated how the steel model's Daytona has an unsymmetrical case or the case lugs. And I emphasize this in both Panda and Black Dial Daytona. But if you check, in case of this particular reference, the case is perfectly symmetrical. This is interesting because even in case of John Mayer Daytona that I reviewed earlier as per the link above on the top right corner of your screen, while the green Daytona is full yellow gold with a gold bracelet, the case was also not symmetrical. So this model indeed may just be the best option for you if the unsymmetrical lugs on the rest of the Daytona models broke the deal for you earlier. On the wrist, the Daytona in yellow gold, golden dial and the Oysterflex bracelet wears like a Rolex dream. The watch case measured at the bezel is 38.5mm, so it is overall a smaller looking watch than what you would expect from a 40mm watch. The dial size is 30mm, so it's similar to what you get with the Rolex Submariner. The lug-to-lug height of the watch is 47.5mm, so it doesn't really wear too small. My wrist size is 6.5 inches and the wristband is 55mm, so you can see that I can wear it and it naturally doesn't flare out of my wrist. The case thickness of the watch is 12.2mm, and for a sports watch, it doesn't look thick or top heavy at all. The bracelet is 20mm at the case and it tapers down beautifully to 15mm. The width of the clasp is 18mm and the watch overall maintains sleek and dressy looks despite being on rubber strap, or let's just say despite being on Oysterflex bracelet. This watch with the strap sized to 6.5 inches wrist weighs at 158 grams, which is only 10 grams heavier than the steel Rolex Submariner. So you can appreciate that while it is a gold watch, it is not at the cost of comfort and it is still a relatively light and easy watch to wear. Rolex Daytona in yellow gold and Oysterflex is indeed an interesting and a beautiful watch with all the Rolex experience, prestige and craftsmanship on display, yet with the luxury of gold. And where the yellow gold makes it blingy, the Oysterflex makes it more muted and takes away the blinginess that otherwise a full gold watch would offer. It has ceramic bezel, so it can also take day-to-day beating, but it naturally isn't as versatile as the steel models. This is also because gold is a softer metal and the warmer tones of gold do make it less versatile than a steel model. But at this price point, if pleasure on the wrist is all you want in a Daytona, with this watch on, you're on the money.